welcome back. You're listening to the State of the City here on Soul Classics 1590 WFBR. I think we got our technical difficulties worked out. And now, family, it gives me great honor and great delight to bring back up on the line once again for part 2 of our conversation that we begun this past Thursday. But it's not. It's just a continuation of this conversation regarding Harbor Point and regarding, again, some of what we saw this past Wednesday at the hearing which took place. So let me just welcome back once again to the State of the City, 12th District Councilman Carl Stokes. Good afternoon once again, my brother, and welcome back to the State of the City. How are you?
Good afternoon, Brother Darren. I'm fine. I'm glad to be with you, and thank you again for inviting me on board. We started, as you said, the conversation, I think Thursday, regarding how the average citizen in Baltimore City is being taken again.
Yes, sir.
Fleeced. We can use a whole lot of old school words. Ripped off.
Right.
But certainly,
being had, being hoodwinked,
the rich guys
being
are winning
bamboozled.
again.
Yes, sir. That's right. The greedy rich guys. We don't have a
greedy
problem
rich
with them
guys,
getting rich, but it's greed. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you for correcting me, because there are rich people in the city who do good, do well, and we shouldn't deny them, with their hard-earned working ethics, etc. But there are some folk in this town who are just greedy, and this particular development on the Harbor Point is just greedy.
Yes, sir.
His own numbers say that he can do this without any city money at all, and he would get over a 10% return on his money, plus other money. And he said that's not enough money for him, and he wants 15 to 20% return on his money, and he has said that he must have the city's money to do it. And there are politicians, elected officials in this town who say they agree that he should have all the money that he asked for. We have a situation where this new Exelon building is committed to building in downtown Baltimore with no city money, not a dime of taxpayer money. It's committed to building. There will be 7,000 construction jobs, temporary jobs there. All of that is good. Right. So it takes no money for that to happen. So when people, and you're going to hear people again and again say this is about jobs, it is not about jobs at all.
Yes,
it's about greed.
Yeah, it's about greed, and again, more greed at a time when the city is saying they do not have money for schools, money for recreation, money for services uptown, but they continue to have money to shell out to these greedy, I call them flash mobs and cash mobs. I know some talk about young people trying to steal an iPhone downtown or steal a piece of candy out of a 7-Eleven, but these are the real cash mobs and flash mobs historically and continuing now to this point. This upcoming Monday, city council meeting is when the vote is supposed to take place. Is that correct?
It is. It's supposed to take place at 5 o'clock, and because I, as chairperson, would not sign the bill to go to the full committee, because to remind people, they hijacked the committee. They took over my committee and moved the bill, but they need the chairperson to sign off on the bill to come to the council.
Yes.
I refuse to do that.
Right.
So they are going to take a vote on taking the bill out of committee, which is exactly what I want them to do.
Right.
Because one by one, they have to go on the microphone and say, yes, I will subjugate the people's will. Because the people have said, let the committee keep working this bill.
Right.
Hundreds of people, thousands of people, the biggest turnouts that we've had all year.
Right.
Hundreds of people have been in City Hall for the last 3 meetings on this bill.
The last 3
Hundreds
hearings.
of people.
Unprecedented. Unprecedented in terms of the hearings, and then to see the government or the mayor and the city council president would say that they don't see poor people getting involved, and when poor people get involved, they say keep talking because we really not listening to you. We really don't want you to get involved is what they're showing with their behavior right now. And it was unprecedented because for the first time, the developers didn't go first, the experts didn't go first, the citizens went first at these hearings. So I thank you just for that.
bring the citizens up first.
Yes, sir. So what's the rush, Councilman?
Citizens first. But let me just mention, I know we're short on time.
No, we're not short on time. We got plenty of time.
First, but also, in terms of all of this, the reaction of people who are scared, meaning council people who've already well, I shouldn't say it on the air. Let's just say people are afraid of cutting off their political contributions.
Yeah, they're afraid of cutting off them tickets.
Like Ricky Spector shouted at the people. We don't have to hear from the peanut gallery.
That's right.
We don't have to hear from the peanut gallery, meaning the citizens who were there, the voters who were there.
That's right.
Councilman Reisinger called out the people, hollered at the people, then asked me to keep order.
Right.
I don't know if you were there, but I turned to those two people and said, you're the ones out of order in this room.
If the citizens had done that, they would have asked the chief, what do they call that person?
The police. They would have put the police
to escort the person.
To carry them out.
They give me a warning when I come in the door, Brother Muhammad. Be good when you get up there now. But you got council persons act this way, and you don't have the police or the, what do we call them, the chief or whatever their position is, sergeant of arms. Can you escort this person up out of here?
Right.
Yes,
absolutely.
Sir.
If I had a sergeant of arms, and I hesitated to call any sergeant of arms because they might remove me.
Yes, sir.
You ever be in a situation where somebody attacking you? You call the police.
Yes, sir.
The police get there, and the person say he jumped on me, and they take you away.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
Right. Yes, sir.
So I didn't want to get hauled out.
Right.
And I'm being a little facetious, but this is a very serious matter, as you know.
It's very serious. For those that may not know, how much are we talking? And the question I got to ask is, what is the rush? What is the rush?
The rush is that the citizens have been awakened on this issue.
Okay.
The rush is that people are asking them to examine this better.
Right.
And they themselves, the people are examining it.
Right.
The rush is that this could fall apart. The rush is that people are concerned about their political contributions, and so they are stopping the process. That's what they did.
Right.
The process was going along, still people waiting to testify, and they stopped the process.
Right.
That is corruption.
Yes, sir. At the highest
I'm telling you,
levels.
with a capital C, that is corruption.
Right.
To shut down the people's hearing.
That's right.
They just shut it down in front of their face.
Shut it down.
They didn't do it behind closed doors.
Right. That's right.
They did it in front of their face.
Yes.
And if people need to show up on Monday.
On Monday, that's
Actually,
right.
people need to start calling the phones Monday morning. They need to call their council people.
We may have to go past that Sunday night because knowing their recent history, they might be in there and have a meeting before we get there on Monday. We may have to go down there Monday.
They already have meetings,
Sunday.
brother, so we're late already.
Well, you find out where those meetings are. You just drop us a line. You know what they say? Drop a dime, stop a crime. You drop us a dime. We find out where those meetings are because of their meetings. They're supposed to be open to the public. Is that right?
Yes, everything will be open to the public on Monday.
Right.
But you know what they tried to do? Not this past meeting because I wouldn't allow it.
Yes, sir.
But the meeting before, they told people that they were at capacity and more people couldn't come in.
Right. Yes, sir.
Now, that wasn't true.
Right.
We were not at capacity. There were plenty of seats.
Yes.
And how are you going to tell people you cannot come into your city hall to participate in your hearing, to testify at your hearing about your money, $123 million. You keep hearing 107. It's actually $123 million. And with interest that we pay back is $283 million. $283 million.
Yes, sir. From a corporate 500 company in terms of Exelon, and of course from a rich developer and Michael Beatty, if we can just name the names. Is that right?
That's right. You said it absolutely right.
So
this is
should
a multi-billionaire and a multi-billionaire company.
So should we congratulate them for being the newest Maryland Powerball winners if this is voted on? Is that what we should do? Just say that these are the new. You don't have to play Powerball when you got Baltimore city government and when you got a fat-ass mayor and a city council president willing to do the work for them. You don't need to go to Maryland Live. You don't need to go up to Hollywood Casino. You don't need to go to Delaware Park. Just put your money on Stephanie Rawlins and city council president Jack Young is what appears to be of what is being said. Give your money to Singer. Give your money to some of these others that are down there, and they will work this even when it's not in the best interest of the city and the citizens. And I say that because we look at the recent history of the failed $305 million hotel called Hilton Hotel, the failed Grand Prix that continues to fail. So we got failure on top of failure on top of failure, and now we're supposed to believe that this is somehow going to be a success for the citizens in the city of Baltimore?
It will be a success. but not for the city of Baltimore.
Yes, sir.
It will be a success for the profit making of the developer. It will not be a success for Baltimore any more than we have seen any other successes coming up from that area. We've already given Mr. Patarakis and Mr. Beatty, John Patarakis and Michael Beatty, $400 million in tax breaks and tax incentives for the Harbor East.
Right.
Now we're going to load them up with another $400 million at the end of the day. That's $800 million we will have given to this, 10 blocks or so of taxpayer money. They're going to build $60 million worth of parks and then have us maintain them.
Right.
We haven't spent $60 million on parks, all of the parks in Baltimore City in the last 10 years.
Right.
And you can see how many of our parks are not maintained. You can see how many of our little pocket parks that we start, then in a year or two are overgrown with weeds, and nobody comes to mow them or to trim the trees. And, it's amazing what is going on in what I refer to as the outer harbor of the city.
That's right, brother. Not just the downtown development that's going on in East Baltimore, because they even taking what's called the West Harbor and making that the Mess Harbor or Less Harbor right now. And at a time when we have a convention that's going on in the city of Baltimore right now. Here's the Codacon convention. Everybody see them walking around town for the last couple of days. But here's a convention that I believe that brings the largest amount of money, largest amount of people to the city, and they're not asking to be subsidized by the city. So if they're not asking, you understand, and it's one of the most peaceful conventions that's going on, and this is, I think, the 20th years. I was talking to some of the participants this morning. Then why can't we put money into, again, I think, the communities uptown, down, and around town, and not putting into a handful of developers in Harbor East? And what does this say about the priorities of the mayor and members on the city council, Councilman?
If I could, I don't do this often, but respectfully, if I can just correct, you said a handful of developers. It's not a handful. It's just one.
Just one.
Okay.
And Michael Beatty. Yes,
it's actually John Patarakis and his boy, Michael Beatty.
I stand corrected.
It's not a handful.
Yes, sir.
Now, I'll tell you how bad it's gotten. That downtown, the other 1,200, 1,500 property owners downtown said to the mayor and her administration, don't give them a dime.
Right.
They're stealing our people. They are not creating new jobs or new offices.
Right. That's right.
These jobs come from across town.
Right.
They come from across the street. I'm sorry.
Yes,
they
sir.
come from 2 blocks up on Pride or Charles. They don't come from outside of town or from or created new.
Right.
These are the same jobs, the same offices.
That's right.
Downtown said, okay, we shouldn't be doing this.
Right.
We give you a couple of options. Give us a TIF too. Everybody playing by the same rules.
Right.
Or here's a better option. Don't give anybody any money. Don't give us any money. Don't give them any money. And let's just spend private money on it. Now, the mayor said, I got a third option. I'm going to give them a whole bunch of money, and I ain't going to give you none. That's the option I'm going with. That's door number 3.
Yes, sir. And that's not an option at all when we look at it. You understand?
Right,
it's robbery. Right. We should call in the feds, call in the state prosecutor, call in the state's attorney, call in the attorney general, call in somebody in law enforcement and say, we really need to look at this before anything is signed, sealed, and delivered, because we believe that and that's me saying this, not you now, that this is some outright fraud on behalf of the mayor and the city of Baltimore. I mean, if they looked at Sheila Dixon regarding some gift cards, here's the mayor that has gotten campaign contributions when we follow the money from Michael Beatty, from John Patarakis. So if they can look at Sheila Dixon for some gift cards, I'm saying that this needs to be looked at in terms of this mayor and the city council president right now. Otherwise, what they're doing is aiding and abetting criminal behavior in the city of Baltimore. So it does no good for them to talk about some young blacks going downtown stealing some iPhones and some iPads when you got somebody that clearly is stealing in terms of land, in terms of giving them land that's really pennies on a dollar with that valuable land that sits over there, and they don't have to put up their own money. And so if it was that good of a project and that good of an idea, couldn't they go out on the market and get this from the banks? But obviously they're not willing to do this. Is that right, Councilman?
That's right. All they had to do was walk into a bank and said, I've got a $119 million lease from Exelon. I've got a multi-million-dollar lease from Morgan Stanley, another Fortune 500 company. All they got to do is walk into a bank, any financial institution, any group of investors, and people will say, "What?
Yes.
How much you want to pay?"
Right.
Well, yeah,
you at least got to put up something.
This is a guaranteed. I've talked to 5 or 6 real estate people, commercial real estate people, bank. Financial institutions. I call them without telling them basically what I'm talking about. I don't tell them the project, et cetera, et cetera. I give them the details.
Right.
And they said, yeah, that's great. That's a great return. It's a great project in terms of finance. People would love to jump on this.
Right. Yes, sir.
And you know what?
Right.
They haven't asked anybody to finance this deal because they're coming to the city to get the money from us. And so they don't even go out into... This is all about how much money they can put in their pockets.
That's right.
This is pure greed.
It's greed.
It is
greed.
It is theft.
Need. Yes.
It's fraud.
Right.
It's theft. It's fraud.
And extortion.
And
extortion.
It is... But people have got to move, Darren.
Yes, sir.
I can,
right.
you can, we can, but people have, beyond speaking about it, people have got to say to their council members individually,
that's right.
I don't like this, I don't want this.
That's right.
I may not know whether it's good or bad or the best, but I know I need to look at it longer.
Yeah.
I know it doesn't need to get rammed through. I know that.
That's right. Following just the recent history of this mayor and former mayor in terms of pushing the Hilton Hotel, in terms of pushing the failed Grand Prix, in terms of failing to push that biotech park in East Baltimore, which led to a bio-wreck, but not no biotech. And then just look in your communities uptown. With all of this money flowing through the city, through the state, and our communities look the way they look in 2013 is an indictment on this mayor when she was a city council representative in the 5th District, when she was running against Councilman Ken Harris. She couldn't put up her record because she didn't have a record to run on. She couldn't show anything that she did in the 5th District because she basically was being led around by her nose from Councilwoman Ricky Spector. So therefore, while Park Heights Uptown benefited, Park Heights below Northern Parkway suffers and still suffers today. So that's me saying this, not you now.
I know.
We're looking at recent histories here. We're looking
but it's just not right. I mean, it's not. I've been in the council 11 years, 3 times. This time was there, of course, 8 years before. And I'm not saying good guys, white guys, black guys, bad. I'm just saying I've never been in this situation where the politics have been this bad, this lousy. I've never saw where people said, I'm not going to vote with my people who voted for me.
Right.
I'm not going to pay attention to the people who voted for me. I've never, ever, when I was there with Kurt Smoke, Pat Clark, Theo Hall, Iris Reeves, Jody Landers, Tony Aimbridge, Lawrence Bell, nobody in that group ever said, I don't give a damn what the people say.
Right.
I'm not going to vote with them.
That's right. That's
Man, we try something like that.
In the public, you at least would try to finagle and do it behind the scenes. They just doing it out in front of the people.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, somebody might have closed the door, but I'm telling you, rarely, maybe never, did I remember people, and again, I'm not saying we're the white hat people. No. I'm just saying that we said 12th District voted for me, Mr. Mayor. I'm sorry with you on this one. I got to go with the 12th District voters.
Right. Yes,
I'm not mad with you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not against you, Mr. Mayor. I just got to go with the 12th District voters on this.
Right. Yes, sir. Talk about, again, as we talked about on Thursday briefly, how this whole process, again, as we talk about fraud, because they fraudulently used the citizens in Perkins Homes development to get what is called the enterprise zone status.
Yeah.
And Michael Beatty would never made a trip over to Perkins Homes until maybe recently when he saw that this project was going to perhaps fail and failed him big time. Now I understand he's going over to Perkins trying to make, of course, a virtuous possibly, or to try to buy some people to make it look like they live in Perkins Homes. But they use the people at Perkins Homes in order to get, again, this project in terms of money rolled. Talk about that if you could.
Well, a year ago, and I'll give you a quick story before I talk about it, if I don't mind.
Please. Yes, sir.
About 3 weeks ago, members of Perkins Homes were in another media situation and talking, and they were asked by that particular host about, jobs. They were down there Harbor East, they were down there H&S Bakery, and they said that nobody in Perkins Homes who has gone to H&S Bakery, Mr. Pataraka's Bakery, has ever been given a job in all the years that they've been in Perkins Homes or that H&S. Now, I don't have the facts to back that up, except the 3 people who were community leaders said that they have often known of people who would walk the 3 blocks down to the H&S Bakery and ask for a job. It could be labor, sweeping, some truck drivers on the line where the bread is being made, but they have never been given jobs. But last year, the state said that Harbor Point, Harbor East no longer qualified for special tax credits of 80%, because those credits should go to areas that are depressed,
high
have low income, have high poverty.
That's right.
Of course, Harbor East doesn't meet those thresholds.
Yes.
And so the state said they don't deserve them. And then Mr. Beatty complained and appealed that. And in his appeal, he wrote, by this new development, if I'm granted the tax break, we will support the economic strengthening of the neighborhoods to our north, which would be Perkins Homes.
Right.
Get the $88 million using the census numbers from Perkins Homes.
Right.
And to my face, at a dinner meeting or one-on-one with Mr. Beatty, he says, I'm not doing anything for them.
Yes, sir.
And which I think you can kind of understand what them meant.
means. Yes, sir. For them Negroes down there, for them jiggers down there in Perkins Homes, and that's men, women, and children, is who he's essentially talking about. So I'm clear on what he's saying,
Right. Again, I'm let you use your words. I'm saying I'm clear on who them are.
Yes, sir.
When he said that to me.
Right. That's right. So now they come in and they don't want to do anything for the people, but they want to use the people in order to get this status, and in terms of, again, the enterprise zone status, which would lead to them getting this project bankrolled by the city of Baltimore.
Right. And again, at the end of the day, there's $400 million of taxpayer money that will be downtown in this project. $400 million that could be used to relieve our seniors of this onerous water bills that they could lose their homes over.
That's right.
That are estimated still too often.
That's right.
That people, I'm not exaggerating, call us crying. Mr. Stokes, I'm going to lose my home. I'm going to lose my home, Mr. Stokes. Right. They're telling me I owe them $3,000 for a water bill. I've never paid more than $52 a quarter for a water bill. And I call them, you can't get through to anybody. They say if I don't pay it by such and such a date, and, we got to calm people down. We got to try to work with them. We said, hold on, we're going to get on it. We're working on it.
Right.
And these are calls we get 3, 4, 5 times a week. These are not just every other so often.
Right.
These are calls that come in all the time to us.
Yes,
and every year now, we're raising 11%, 13%, 15%, raising these citizens on fixed income, on low income, some on no income.
Right.
We're raising their fees, raising their water bills, not lowering their taxes, giving other people free property. They don't pay taxes.
That's right.
Or they pay very low taxes.
Right.
But I don't know about you, but every year around July 1st, I got a tax bill, and on my bill, it's not saying to me, special district, you're in a special district here, let's give you less taxes. I actually live in a special district where I pay more taxes.
That's right. Yes, sir.
So it is, and no kidding, I live in the Charles Village Benefit District, and we actually pay more taxes to do what the city services are supposed to do. We hire, a couple of more public safety people. We hire people to go around and pick up bulk trash,
right.
Which I already pay my regular tax to do.
That's right. It's a tax on top of a tax on top of a tax is what we're looking at, man.
On top of a tax.
Yes,
and now
sir.
most of the city residents, God bless, I'm fortunate enough, I can pay a few more dollars. I don't want to, but God knows that most of the rest of the city where we live, they can't pay the regular tax, let alone another special tax.
That's right.
And they are not only not getting special services, they're getting less of the city services.
That's right.
In these neighborhoods.
Right.
You know I'm telling you this
yes, sir.
because I don't have to tell you because you know this.
Right. Yes, sir. Again, family, just tuning in, having a conversation with 12th District Councilman Carl Stokes, of course. Reminding you about the meeting this upcoming Monday, City Council, 5 o'clock. You should be there at 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Might have to occupy City Hall on Monday, as I said before, as others have done around this nation, because it's no different than what Governor Scott Walker was doing to the Democrats at that time. The only sad part is we got some Democrats that's acting like Republicans down there in City Hall and in the seat of the Madam Mayor down there, acting like a 5-star chick trying to be 5-star slick with that 5-star hotel that hadn't turned a profit in the city of Baltimore. And I keep saying perhaps they ought to turn that hotel into a senior citizen luxury apartments, man, when we're looking at what's happening with our senior citizens. Thoughts on that right quick, Councilman, before we begin to conclude?
I'm sorry, what was the last thing you said?
Turn that 5-star hotel.
Yeah, the hotel. I got you.
Into a luxury senior citizen building.
Yeah, it is an issue. Mr. Paterakis built the hotel on the other end of Pratt Street, and he pays no taxes. He's had a hotel now for 13 years. The city has allowed him to pay $1 a year.
$1? Wait a minute. I thought he said they don't.
$1 a year in taxes. That's his property tax on his hotel, $1. It happens to be the most successful hotel in terms of rooms leased per night. The most successful hotel in the city of Baltimore. It pays $1 a year. He has 12 more years on his payment in lieu of a tax agreement that he'll pay another $12 over the next 12 years. And again, brother, at my home, at my neighbor's homes,
yes, sir.
We pay the full tax every year.
Right.
He has a tax break that allows him to pay $1 a year in property taxes. Had he been paying taxes over the last 13 years, he would have owed to the city of Baltimore something like $28 million at this point. Instead of us getting the $28 million,
yes, sir,
we got $1, $13.
$13, yes, sir. Man, imagine that. But again, before we begin to wrap up, got to ask thoughts and comments because, again, as I've said before, what we saw on Wednesday by your colleague, in particular City Council President Jack Young, was unprecedented in terms of, again, backstabbing, taking over the hearing, hijacking the hearing.